I was recently asked why so many libertarian futurists are excited about cybernetics and successor projects to Elon Musk's Neuralink, while at the same time utterly terrified of government tracking, chips, or government access to your cybernetic hardware. I tend to think that this has the same answer as the CBD or central bank digital currency question. This is one of independence versus government control. Authoritarians look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and see nothing more than fake digital money backed by nothing, while libertarians and other people in younger generations see something that is independent of federal authority and manipulation. The very thing that scares government and makes traditional investors nervous, the government's lack of ability to manipulate and implement any sort of monetary policy or inflation, is the thing that gives crypto its value. Both crypto and the dollar are fiat currency. The fiat backing the dollar is, quote, the full faith and credit of the US government, while crypto is backed by the fiat of knowing that the same government will not be able to control it. With the way things are going, I would say a currency based on distrusting the government has more credibility than one based on trusting the government, because that is all the dollar or CBDC versus crypto argument boils down to, whether you want to trust the government with total control over your money or not. I don't think there is anything wrong with having both options. Just like in a free economy, you can choose to live in a voluntary commune with other communists, but in an unfree economy, you can't choose to be a capitalist in a socialist system. A free economy would give you the option of choosing the government currency or to freely choose other payment options. But we are slowly seeing that the insidious bloat of government has become unavoidable as they implement more and more controls over the existing crypto market. As safe as people believe Bitcoin is, they were still able to get a huge amount of it back after a major infrastructure ransom attack in 2001. Most exchanges have agreements with the government about investment reporting and have become implementing other tracking methods. While it is still a far more free market than traditional currency, it is nowhere near the unregulated Wild West that it was in the pre-2020s era. This is doubly, triply, and quadruply true for Neuralink. As much as I'm excited for cybernetics, the recent history of megacorporations acting as sock puppets for government investigators and regulators has proven to me that no large company can be trusted. Recently, Ford announced their new vehicle model would lock you out and drive itself back to the dealership if you stopped making payments. This means that at any time they have access to lock you out. If the government decides to lean on Ford hard enough, they could simply lock you out of your car, or drive you to where they want you to be, or simply deny you transportation. This is dystopian and straight out of science fiction like Minority Report. Combine this with the government collusion seen in things like Twittergate and the Excel scandal, and it is extremely clear that anything a company can do is simply something the government can also do on a whim. Any ability a company possesses can be suborned by the government. The courts have proven to be no protection against this sort of action. Governments can use companies as sock puppets to avoid legal protections of your rights. The only protection is to ensure that companies do not have the ability to do something, not to trust that they won't abuse said ability. The only way that government won't be able to lock you out of your car because they are looking for you, or your taxes are overdue, or you engaged in too much wrongthink, is to make sure that nobody has the ability to lock you out of your car. Not only is it a dangerous ability and precedent, but it also dilutes the meaning of what it is to own something. And that is exactly what the government and companies want. They succeeded in many things such as computer programs and music. You don't really own the music or games you bought on iTunes or Steam. You own the right to play it through the platform. If they get angry enough, they will ban you from the service or cut you off in some other way, and you will be denied use. And that is what ownership is: exclusive control over use and disposition. If you do not control the use of something, you do not own it. If you do not control when you can use your car, or someone can take that control at any point, then you don't own it. The people with the power to take it away actually do. That is why I constantly say that property taxes turn ownership into rental. Because if you don't pay yearly to keep control over your own property, the government will take it away from you. Ultimately, you don't own property if it is subject to property taxes. Here is how all this relates to Neuralink. The self-driving and interconnective features of everything Elon Musk creates makes me extremely hesitant to believe his cybernetics would be beyond his ability to control or infiltrate, and thus beyond the government's ability to infiltrate. If there was a way to completely isolate the system and make it fully native and not rely on anything back on the cloud center, then it might eventually become useful. But so long as a chip in your head or other body part can be accessed by a company or government from a distance without your consent, it is a horrifying risk. But even so, if you voluntarily put yourself at risk by becoming a Neuralink cyborg, that is still completely different from a government chip or being tracked in other ways. It all comes down to whether something is mandated or not. Consent, just like everything else in society, is required before you violate anyone's bodily autonomy in any way. Requiring a chip as a passport or a CBDC payment method is simply horrifying and goes beyond dystopic straight into biblical mark of the beast territory. I am a futurist. I truly believe cyborgs and digital mental spaces are part of our future, but I also believe they can quickly become a literal hellscape of control and surveillance, worse than the real world. I think the movies have it backwards, and digital worlds won't be the last free spaces. I think they will be the first to fall because we have already seen our digital spaces become cesspits of censorship and government meddling. The only way the future can be bright is if we deny megacorporations and government the control they crave. Before considering cybernetics, one must consider that if you don't own everything inside your own body, you don't really own anything at all. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.